A man has to be what he is, Joey. Can't break the mold. There's no living with the killing. There's no going back. Right or wrong, it's a brand that sticks. Now you run on home to your mother. You tell her everything's alright.
Those were up, and they did.
More smarts, and my...
He told me enough.
No, I.
Here's Chuck.
Hey everyone, it's Don J. Corleone here, and I'm here with a brand new movie review. And this movie review is going to be for the last of the X-Men series. And then we can move on to the Bad Boys duology eventually. And I say eventually because so far, this has not been the best week. It started off with my bathroom sink being not draining. I've got the materials to fix that. They're on their way from Amazon today. They're going to be here today. And yesterday, this was recorded Wednesday, even though this video is premiering Friday. I found out that one of my top fans, Live the Movie Life, had passed. Yeah, I'm not going to reveal that story, but yesterday I found out she tragically passed. My heart goes out to her. My heart goes out to her family and her. I hope she can rest in peace. Yeah, so I wanted to touch up on that first. And as you know, I'm here with a brand new movie review. And this one, because this is the last of the X-Men series, but this one technically came out before the real last one they released, but I just wanted to save this one for last because to me this is the finale to X-Men. That's going to be for none other than 2017's Logan, which is directed by James Mangold. Once again, who returned from directing 2013's The Wolverine. And is back for this one. It was also at the time Hugh Jackman's final time as Wolverine for the time being. And yeah, so what's the plot? Well, this movie is technically set in the future in 2029. The mutant population shrunk significantly because of the genetically modified plants designed to reduce mutant powers, and the X-Men disbanded. Logan, who's one of the only ones left, whose powers self-heal is dwindling, has surrendered himself to alcohol and now earns a living as a chauffeur, a limo driver. He takes care of the alien old Professor X, who he keeps hidden away, who's also the last of them left. For a while, Logan, Caliban, the guy from Apocalypse, and Professor X at the time were the three left. Then one day, a female stranger asks Logan to drive a girl named Laura to the Canadian border. He refuses at first, but the professor has been waiting for a long time for her to appear. And it's because Laura apparently possesses this fighting prowess and is in many ways like Wolverine. She's pursued by sinister figures working for a corporation called the Reavers, and because they made her with Logan's DNA. As his creep, Logan is now forced to ask himself if he or ever wants to put his remaining powers to good use. And apparently that in the near future, the times in which they're able to put the world to rights of rare sharp claws and powers are now over in this world. So how is this made? Well, it was around November 2013 when Fox initiated discussions over Another Soul starring Wolverine, and James Mangold's in negotiations to write the treatment for the film, and Lawrence Shelford Donner will be returned to produce under the Donners' company. At the time, Jackman neither confirmed nor denies reprisal of Logan in a new film, and Jackman clarified his contract with Fox would need to be negotiated after Days of Future Past. But it didn't mean at the time he was leaving the franchise, because he had been working movie by movie since X-Men 2. And like he did want to do it with Jim and producer Lauren, but because they had such great experience and he's happy with the Wolverine. Then Mangold announced that the pre-production aspect of the film was about to begin that same month, and the writing process, he didn't want to say it was there yet, but there's been typing, and so yeah. Jackman came back for this one, and it was confirmed it was going to be the very last one, and yeah, like shortly after the release of Wolverine, so around December 2013, Jackman spoke of nearing the end of his tenure as the character, and the film was in early stages of development. Mangold later revealed that Jackman was definitely involved in developing the story, because apparently him and Hugh were friends for 20 years at the time this was being made, and it was there every step of the way. And Logan was designed to look like the near future because this is set in the future, and the story be written with a dark and violent tone closer to Western genre. And the filming began on May 2nd, 2016, and then wrapped on August 13th, 2016. And the locations used for Logan were in Louisiana, New Mexico, Mississippi. So after the movie was shot and marketed, Logan premiered at the 67th Berlin International Film Festival on February 17, 2017, and was actually released in the United States on March 3rd, 2017. And guess what, guys? This one received the highest critical acclaim of all the Fox movies. Because for one, everyone just loved it for its emotional depth, the screenplay, the action sequences, the uncompromising tone, the profundity, performances of Jackman, Keenan Stewart, and it was the best reviewed film in the X-Men franchise. Some even call it one of the best superhero films ever made. And it was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay at the Academy Awards. It was the first superhero film to be nominated for screenwriting. And it grossed over $619 million worldwide at the box office, and for a while was the third highest grossing R-rated film at the time of its release. And then it got bumped down by It, and many more. Now as for my reaction, well, much like when Deadpool came out, I had seen the poster for the film and heard of the R rating, but I didn't pay attention to it as well, because much like with the last two Wolverine films, they were either bad or just mediocre, so I didn't know what to think about this movie. A bit of me did get excited for the R rating, and we were finally going to now have an R-rated Wolverine film after waiting so damn long for one to be made. I didn't also even watch the trailers either, but when I went to see Rogue One in IMAX when it released, the teaser with Johnny Cash's Hurt played before that film. That was all I saw for trailers. Then the movie actually came out, and apparently everybody loved it, so I made sure to go see this opening weekend, and this was back when I began my first bit of college, about a year after I graduated high school. Around the time I was 18. You want to know, when I graduated high school, guys, I was 17. And I absolutely love this movie. In fact, this has probably been one of my favorite theater experiences yet. It was nice to finally now have an R-rated Wolverine film, one that was not studio interfered, and one that was really now the one Jackman had long envisioned for so long. And guys, those who think, what, were they just making this rated R to beat Deadpool? No, they weren't. It was not given a rated R rating just to cash in on Deadpool. The reason why this one was actually rated R was because, Hugh Jackman knew the story would not work for a PG-13 film, so it needed to be violent and be rated R and adult so the story would be good. And it had nothing to do with Deadpool's success at all. So yeah, I saw this at a Saturday matinee when it came out, and there have been times when I go see a rated R film, a parent will sneak their kids into the theater. Apparently there was reports of that with Deadpool, but not any of the two screenings I went to. But at mine for this movie, there was literally no children. Hell, not even college students were there. I was the one college person to be there. And all the screening was pretty much pure adults. And that's a good thing too. Because this movie is really dark and really violent. And there's zero comedy in this movie at all. They were not kidding when they said this movie was going to be very brutal, because it definitely is. When you guys watch Logan and expect every scene to just be Wolverine tearing people to shreds, you don't get that movie here. No. Anyone who thought it would be that would have been definitely disappointed. It's not an action film. There's action sequences in the film, but they're not the main focus of the movie. The last two Wolverines had tried to be. Like, Logan is a grounded in reality film. A film that takes its time to tell the story, to develop the characters. It's a character-driven film. It has the most characterization of any X-Men film to date. We get enough of Wolverine's backstory within the first 2 minutes to really become attached, to really become attached to him. Like, we learn more about Professor X and what he's been doing. Then there's this little girl who may seem like she'd be annoying at first, but no. Surprisingly, in the movie, she was actually not annoying. And she actually was definitely one of the best kid characters on screen. Like, this girl, X-23 or Laura, was definitely one of the best highlights of the film. It's definitely the first time you see a movie that's about the character of X-23. Like, all the sequences with Laura were definitely perfect. There's a sense of mystery to her character you don't expect from a film like in the X-Men movies. You really know what, you don't know what next move of hers is going to happen. No, not movie, guys. I mean move. Motivation to find a safe place is well felt into the film, and it brings you a sign of relief that there's a sense of good out there in the world. When there's a world in this movie that's just dark, bleak, and hopeless. And like Hugh Jackman's performance, he's always great as Wolverine, but this movie, this is the one where the dude really gives it his all. And this is definitely his best performance as the character. Nobody before this movie never saw Wolverine this vulnerable. This one, he's old, he's broken down, he's beaten, he can't even heal like he used to. And the commission from Hugh Jackman in this movie is just spot on, and it captures the ways Wolverine felt in certain moments. And it adds layers to the film. And when Wolverine gets in a fight, Hugh Jackman is great in these scenes. It's like, yeah. And it does not hold back from a violent standpoint, despite being more grounded than its predecessors. As the movie starts, you know the type of movie you're going to get into. Like, it's brutally violent. It's like probably the most violent Marvel films ever made. And hell, I'd say probably the most violent since 1998's Blade. Yeah, you had Punisher Warzone, you had the Deadpool films, but the thing is, guys, Punisher Warzone and the Deadpool films, they're cartoonish violent. I'm talking about serious, realistic violence. This is the most that's been since Blade. This was the most of that since the first Blade movie. Blade 2 was violent, but Blade 2 is kind of was definitely much more of an action movie than the first. Blade 2 is just more of the straight up. Blade 1 felt a little more grounded. A lot of times. Yeah, it still had some unrealistic moments, but but it was still the most grounded, and honestly, that's why I like that one the most. That one feels much like the tone of the comics. Blade 2 is good, but it's kind of times when they go too much into action territory. I prefer the more horror Blade. But yeah. Here, you actually see Wolverine hack, claw, and slash his way through skirmishes with blood this time, the guts flying, the gore flying this time. This is what anyone always wanted when they wanted the Wolverine movie. They never got to have that because Fox kept interfering on any of the past two attempts. Wolverine 2013 was passable, but even that sometimes felt to interfere because it was PG-13. It got an R-rated cut when it was on DVD, but I didn't see it, so I can't judge that. The word perfect is subjective, and especially when it comes to the film, Logan's not a cinematic masterpiece like films like The Shawshank Redemption or Citizen Kane. It's a masterpiece of this era, and leaves you with this brilliant swan song from producer and the star, especially for what was the final outing of this character at the time. And the film, which was directed brilliantly by James Mangold, I hate James Mangold now, but this was back when I did like him. And that doesn't mean I hate this movie, I still love it, regardless who directs it or not. It's only this 2+ hour comic book fans' dream to finally see this kind of Wolverine after so long. Yeah, it was sadly going to be the last time he played the character at the time, but for the last time playing the character, this was what the fans finally got to have. And they could have picked a more perfect choice for this. Could have picked a more perfect story to be Hugh Jackman's send-off. Temporary send-off. The film takes place, it's 2029, the world's in shambles, mutants are extinct, water scarce, the world's now pretty much a wasteland, it's still, the world's still technically an active thing, but it's pretty much a wasteland. And that's where we find Logan. He's now a limo driver, and having to be a caretaker to Professor X, and now suffering from dementia and seizures, That pretty much these Caesars had apparently killed the X-Men. Like Logan's now just an alcoholic from an illness that limits his mutant abilities. Like he's living a quiet life and he meets a young girl that he has to protect. Like yeah, that's pretty much the overall plot of the film. Right there. And the way the story goes, like the way Logan behaves, like the selflessness, the rage, it's this perfect little realized version of the character. It may take a little bit longer than it should. Yeah, this was definitely, every fan thought this was totally worth the wait. Mangold did a fantastic job creating the world like Logan knows he's now in. It's times like it's far from the PG-13 character you're used to. Like bleak, violent, heartbreaking. Like this also foul-mouthed, miserable, and very bloody rendition of the source material. So yeah, now how does our movie start? Well, now y'all remember when if you guys went to go see this in theaters, you would have had to see a Deadpool short first. That's what I remember when I went to see this movie, and that short happened. Like I just like when I first saw this short in theaters, I thought just Deadpool just randomly makes an appearance in the film, and then I realized it's actually a short film that plays before the film. I think the filmmakers must have known that this was going to depress a lot of people who went to watch this, so they decided to do a Deadpool short to play before the film so that people could have at least a little bit of laughter before they see some really brutal and depressing shit. How this short goes was, it was on New York City, a mugging was happening, Wade Wilson see this and he tried to get into his suit through a phone booth, like Superman sometimes sometimes Superman does. While the whole mugging is going on, but he takes too long, so the victim got shot, and he realizes he should have just called 911, he's too late now, so he lays down by the dead man's body, and he has some ice cream. That's kind of just the end of the short right there. That's how the short pretty much goes. And the film pretty much opens up with and then we get to the actual movie, where it opens up with Logan, waking up in the back of a limo. He finds this gainer trying to vandalize his car. So Logan tries to intervene calmly, but one of them blasts him with a shotgun, so he gets back up, breaks his claws out. One claw doesn't retract all the way, though. And he fights again, they start beating him down, and Logan becomes enraged and slices off limbs and stabs the gang members until a few of them get away. And yeah, you know this year's 2029. He's not the same fighter he once was. The healing factor is starting to slowly kill him. His regeneration power is not working as well. One of the last mutants left alive, and he's now making a living as a limo driver. And he carries a bullet with him in case he ever just decides to just end his life there. And then he's at a funeral with one of his clients, and he's approached by this woman named Gabriel Lopez, who's played by Elizabeth Rodriguez. She's asking for Logan's help, but he rudely turns her away. Then Gabriel drives away, and you see this young girl that's just looking back at Logan. Then in the next scene, a man then enters the limo named Donald Pierce, who's played by Boyd Holbrook, our big bad of the film. He knows about the killing of the gang members now, and also of Logan being approached by Gabrielle, and Pierce has knowledge of Logan taking care of Professor X, south of the border. Pierce claims like he wants something of Gabriella's, and he hands Logan a card, tells him to call him when he finds Gabriella again. Right there. And the card angers Logan. Then he goes back to south of the border, and it turns out him and Professor X are hiding at a band plant with that mutant Calvin from X-Men Apocalypse, who's now played by Stephen Merchant this time. And they're both having to take care of Charles. Charles is now, our professor is sadly now senile. He suffers from seizures, and they produce seismic waves, like where you basically freeze a person, and once they end, the person either is injured or dead. Like, and Logan has to administer a serum to keep Xavier under control. And it's like, Xavier's just become broken because his school's gone, his fellow X-Men are gone, and he says Logan's just waiting for him to die. Like, when you first see him, like, he's just pretty much talking to himself and stuff, and sometimes he doesn't even recognize Logan. It's a very sad state to see one of the best professors of cinema in. Right there. Like, James Mangold, like, really does well creating an adult super movie without it being a superhero pick. Like, he wanted a film like that's noir western and happens to be about a superhero or have a superhero character in it. Mangold loves noir westerns, and this example here just burst from the screen. Like, yeah. And there's this grimness in a narrative that bellies and quite often stunning slow kills, and heavy themes like men of time or distance written, and surrogates mental illness, human ignorance, and on it goes, and narrative strong intelligence is as much as it is raw emotion. And yes, like, the term adult for this movie is well and good, like, but do we get pumped up Wolverine action, blood brains, like stuff, blood brains, all that stuff? Oh yeah, of course we do. Action for the off's never far away, even though it's a little slower. It's still wonderfully, when it happens, it's wonderfully staged and choreographed. And there's lots of memorable set pieces, like some construction sequences, like Xavier's mind controls and stuff, and the kickers that were like, we're clued to the emotional baggage that the Steinberg softening prog carries with him, and each fight we sense the bigger picture. Like there, like when you see the emergence of Laura, or like yeah, like right there, like in her part in this very human story, like the thrills and spills are propelled for a meaningful but battered heart. And it was a terrific move to have this film be rated R, because like yeah, this story would not work PG-13. And for Wolverine's final outing, you get to finally see Wolverine be unleashed. Like the violence in this one, yeah, like now we'll talk more about the violence. It's as graphic and fully explosive as you can imagine it to be. That aspect alone is definitely exciting for fans who wanted to see like Wolverine really be in action. And and also that when the destruction takes place, when Wolverine gets really, really angry, he also sitting on the border, like does allow the film to play with certain tones and the color plate, like of a Breaking Bad episode. And the film's ending provides a more vibrant environment of a base for the extremely bloody collision as well. Yeah, I mean it when I say gory. Like, there's many gory and disturbing moments in here. Like, the movie literally starts off with thugs trying to hijack Wolverine's limo, and he stabs, slashes, and then causes their shotgun to malfunction and shoot one of them brutally, and blood splattering. And then Wolverine has a difficult time getting bullets out of him because of his wearing out healing factor. You have Wolverine trying to pull out one of his claws, and you hear him groan in pain, and his hand starts bleeding while also seeing his knuckles covered in pus and blood. And then it's like, yeah, then when Logan's watching a video that's discussing Laura's backstory, yeah, like right there, like there's like you don't see much detail. Like you see like scientists performing surgery on some kids because like there's all these mutant kids that they're talking about. We'll get to later, and a girl with metal claws even cuts herself repeatedly. Blood's gushing out of her arms. One kid's committing suicide, jumping off a building. You don't see him falling around, but yeah, you can clearly tell he's doing that. And of course, yeah. And of course, you guys remember Caliban? Well, yeah, he's back in this, as you all know. But when he goes to dispose of Pierce, like ordered, he wakes up quick and captures him. And to get info out of him, like, seriously, they literally let lighten all over the place, and now you know exactly why his club has no light, because he can't stand any light. But as soon as he gets into light, his skin burns up, starts swelling, and even falling apart for being in the sunlight. And you even hear sizzling and see his horrifically burned face. Like, yeah, I really mean that. And the writing is solid for a superhero flick. Like, it really digs deep into these beloved characters, how vulnerable they are, how long for a world where people would just leave them be. You also feel for Xavier and Logan even more in this movie, because they're now in their twilight years, but also they have the father-son type relationship that's often tough, love, and endearing, and the reluctant father-daughter connection Logan has with X-23, and also Daphne Keane, the girl who plays X-23. She's very remarkable in this film. She has so much force, she has so much energy, so much roar, and even like runs and slices like a cheetah, left to right with no prejudice or no holdbacks. Very incredibly talented in this film. And you have the main villain Pierce, he's not like a major big bad, but that's not important for a story like this. Like, the core cast of, like, Wolvie, X23, they drive the film. The performances of their actors are outstanding. The father figure Professor X is to Wolverine, and the father that Wolverine is to X23 is this deep addition to the characters. It's no doubt a character-driven film. And with Wolverine, the driver's seat, like, there's a pair of dynamite supporting characters, and the connect with these characters is real. It's like a treasure that very little superhero films really have. Then later, Logan is out working, he gets a notification for 2 passengers, then he goes to a motel to pick them up, and it turns out it's, of course, Gabriella and the little girl whose real name is Laura. Gabrielle says that Laura is her daughter, and Gabrielle implores Logan to help them out, but he's uninterested in getting involved in their business, and Gabrielle offers him 50 grand to help him across the border from North Dakota to Canada. It gives him an envelope with 20 grand inside, and coordinates and instructions written on it. Then, Logan receives a text back home from Gabriella. He returns to the motel, finds Gabriella was killed, and Laura's nowhere to be found. The reason why he's trying to get 50 grand is because he needs 45 grand for a boat that he wants him and Charles to be on, and then sail off into the sunset. So Logan returns home. He sees Laura's found them, and Charles is fascinated because apparently he knows she possesses something remarkable. And Logan knows they are now in danger though, so Pierce comes by to get Laura. She chucks a pipe at his head and then knocks him out. So Logan has Calvin take Pierce and put him in a ditch. When Calvin goes to do so, Pierce immediately recovers, and then his team of Reavers show up, and then them and Pierce capture him. Pretty much he's pointing the gun at Calvin. He's like, "You're fucked now, mutie." Then the Reavers then pretty much go towards Logan and Charles' location, and two Reavers try to go get Laura. But after some commotion, Laura steps out with the Reaver's head, rolls it towards Pierce, and then Laura steps forward, has two adamantium claws come out of each hand right there, and you find out her mutant form right there. She's slaughtering the Reavers left to right. He uses a foot claw on one attacker. Then Logan gets in on the fight and takes Charles and Laura away from there. So yeah. Hugh Jackman is not the only one who delivers the best performance. Patrick Stewart also delivers an exceptional performance as Professor X. Pretty much in this one, his portrayal of this man that's grappling with brain disorder, still trying to be Logan's mentor and protector of Laura, is moving and very nuanced in his performance. And the script tackles themes of loss, redemption, harsh cost of violence. There's this undercurrent melancholy that runs throughout the film, and it's amplified by a stripped-down score by Marco Beltrami. And then the action is done right in a superhero movie. There's not as much action in this one, but when it happens, it's also the best choreographed, and it also fills you with intensity and adrenaline. It's brutal, does not hold back. Most impressive is they finally made the action where you worry for the survival of our hero, and you're afraid you won't get out of the situation alive. And it's also where you don't see it's kind of hard to really see in big budget superhero movies of the DCU or the MCU, especially the ones today. And sometimes simpler is often the better approach. It's a movie with not much complexity and a plot or giant spectacle. It's mostly a survival drama film. And it's fitting for a character like Wolverine. You don't need some giant spectacle to deliver badass action sequences. No. Sometimes you could just have a grounded reality superhero film, and it works here very well. Logan has the incredible direction. The R-rated action, the gore and blood is very well done. It's visual effect. The audience gets carried from scene to scene with the characters. The Western-style overtone nihilism is perfectly captured. The score is this mix of melodies and orchestra that capture the essence of the moments and themes of the film. And the character interactions are the center of the film, and especially the development of the characters get presented through subtle, emotionally resonant dialogue. So yeah, after Logan, Laura, and Charles escape, we get back to the Reavers and Calvin gets taken by the Reavers and tortured when Pierce exposes him to sunlight. Yeah, and that's how you find out why his club in Apocalypse was so darkly lit. It's because he can't get anywhere near any kind of light, or else his skin will pretty much burn. And Pierce then orders Calvin to use his tracking powers to locate the trio. So, while on the road, Logan, Charles, and Laura stop by a convenience store to look through Gabriel's phone to see a video she took of Transcendence experiments, which was led by the real owner of the Reavers, Dr. Sandra Rice, who's played by Richard E. Grant. And apparently we find out the team was creating mutant children for the DNA of deceased mutants, breeding them to become super soldiers. And Gabrielle was actually Laura's nurse, not her mom. But before Logan's able to watch the rest of the video, though, the phone dies, So what happens is, Logan takes Charles to use the bathroom. While this is happening, Laura then pretty much goes to get some chips, it's drink and shades, and pretty much tries to steal them. And the clerk attempts to stop Laura from shoplifting, but she flips him over and nearly sticks her claws in until Logan steps in. So yeah. And then he pretty much gets a phone charger and a cigar before he leaves. Then, after Logan recharges his phone, he finishes the rest of the video. And apparently, Rice and the Reavers, they pretty much were creating a mutant more powerful and feeling than the others, called X-24. There's more on him later. The team decided to finally just decide they had no more use for children and dispose of them. So Gabrielle did not like the idea, so she helped them escape and wanted them to get to a mutant sanctuary called Eden. And then the last moments of the video, Gabriel, yeah, like we know there, like Gabrielle is not Laura's mother, but actually loves her like one, and addresses Logan as his daughter and begs him to take care of her. So then they get back on the road and they go through Oklahoma City. They stay in a hotel, and then Logan discovers that Laura's pretty much an X-Men fan. It's clearly in her mind Eden is real, though although Logan does not believe any of the comics, he thinks the comics are all bullshit and barely a quarter of it happens. And the reason why they were in Oklahoma City is because they needed a place to stay, they needed some new clothes before they get back on the road, and a new ride. So Logan leaves Laura with Charles, and he tells Laura that to give Charles 2 pills when it's time to give him his medication. And then of course, like, he gets a new ride, but the ride takes an hour, so he gets a drink while he waits. Then Logan sees, like, the Reavers found them while he's downstairs, and then Charles has another seizure. And so since, like, Logan and Laura are almost stuck in a paralyzed state, but, like, no, everyone's stuck in a paralyzed state, including, like, Pierce, Calvin, and the other Reavers. Logan and Laura are not. But Logan is struggling to make it to the room and has to pretty much clock his way there to the Reavers and pretty much kills all the Reavers there. And then he injects Charles with the serum and they escape the hotel before more law enforcement can show up. This hotel scene right here is very well shot. It's very disturbing for a non-horror movie. And one of the best scenes I watched in a theater. Like, when I watched this movie in the theaters, there was nobody getting up and leaving or to go anywhere when this scene happened. Like, not even I did. It felt like everyone was affected by the seizure very well. Like, the whole concept of the seizure is disturbing because it's a literal seizure that pretty much freezes you. And once it ends, like, either you're dead or you're injured. It tells us, like, it pretty much shows us how those other X-Men died there. It's pretty well shot, and it pretty much shows the whole Westchester incident. How they all shot this was terrific. Like, apparently they tied Hugh to a rope for this scene. They shook the camera violently so it would feel very realistic. And it shows like all the hard work was worth it in this scene. It was very well done scene right here. And oh man, like, it even gets into very sad moments when they're leaving the hotel and Charles is just literally apologizing to everyone that's just lying on the floor in the lobby, like, either in pain or either about to die. Like that's just a very heartbreaking performance from Stewart in that very moment. Like, he clearly hated having to do that seizure, but he knew the Reavers would kill Laura if he didn't. And like, Logan pulls no punches with the hard R rating. The level of violence is staggering, not gratuitous though. Like, these are characters that are living in a bleak and harsh world. You get no time to breathe. Like, James Mangold really stepped his game up after the Wolverine with a very well crafted film. Right here, I don't think anyone really expected that would happen. But yeah, like, we all know that although Wolverine has a prolonged life because of his powers, there has to come a time when all of his friends have either lived their life, and he's left with the scared memories of days past, friends lost, people that were harmed by him, and the pain he suffered, and his healing factor wearing out, and they depict all of it very well. But better than the source material that was injected to create Invincible's weapon, it's like the device of his slow and deterioration, and the emotional turmoil he has to go through for centuries. Like, he had nothing to lose. Hugh Jackman did what he did best here, like, be that character that no one thought could play the role better than him. Like, yeah, like, and yeah, like, more about Daphne Keane. Like, the actress was very, like, vicious in her portrayal, very hilarious in her portrayal, very heartwarming in her portrayal. Even like, melts hearts and conjures fear at the same time. Like, the scene that shows her walking towards the severed head of a soldier she has ripped out of his body while being attacked. It's a very prized moment in the film, and rolls the head out in front of the villain. It's the evolution of madness and the purity of Wolverine-like character at the same time. So yeah, after the motel scene, like, the trio hit the road again, and then a radio report mentions the incident at the hotel, and especially the Westchester incident. But Logan turns off before Charles can even hear anymore. They get nearly run off the road by 2 trucks that take up the road. Another truck gets swerved off the side, and it's a car of horses that truck was carrying, and the horses are running across the street, and Charles convinces Logan to help them. So Charles uses his powers to bring the horses back to the family safely, and Logan helps the family push their truck out of the ditch. And then you find out they're the Munson's family. They're played by Eric Lachelle, Elise Neal, and Quincy Foose. One of them invites the trio to have dinner in their home that night. Charles accepts it, much to Logan's dismay. And you're going to find out exactly why Logan didn't like that invitation in a little bit. How it should have, like, there was how it should have ended how it should have ended. Apparently Logan refused an invitation. They kept driving on the road, and right there, and that family's like, I think he just saved our lives. But yeah, more about that later. So they're having dinner with the Munsons. Logan's trying to leave because he knows they're being hunted, and clearly does not want these Munsons to be hunted down with them. But Catherine keeps offering him shelter for the night. Logan only agrees for Charles' sake, and like you did get a nice little family moment during the whole dinner scene, like when Laura's keep trying to take the food. Logan keeps prohibiting her from constantly eating all the food, and limits how much food she eats, and yeah, you even get a nice little conversation with all of them, and so yeah, Logan agrees to stay for Charles' sake. Then for Charles' sake, the water is messed up, so Logan goes with the dad of the family to go fix it. They stop the pump from leaking out in the field, but they get confronted by this group of hicks that apparently control that part of the land. They're harassing Logan and Will with the rifles. Logan hits one of them in the face with the rifle and breaks it over his knee. Then, this is where disaster strikes. There's this person that appears to be Logan, appearing to be Logan tells Charles they should go, and Charles feels Laura should sleep more. Then Charles remembers the whole Westchester incident, where he suffered a seizure, the seizure happened that killed his fellow X-Men. Then, of course, this supposed Logan puts his claws through Charles's chest, and it's apparently not Logan. This, guys, is the creation called X-24, who is the younger clone of Logan, who is also played by Hugh Jackman. Yeah, like, Hugh Jackman both played Logan and played X-24 in this movie, in a way. So he takes Laura and kills the son and the wife. Then Logan and the dad get back home. The dad runs upstairs. X-24 kills him. Logan runs to get Charles right there. Like, they do well in making it look like he's talking to Logan right there. But then, of course, the sudden realization in his face when X-24 stabs him. It's not Logan. He thought he was talking to Logan. It's a nice little reveal right there. And you find out the Reavers arrived with Pierce and Rice. And as well as the Hicks. There's a larger group of them. X-24 kills every one of them. And then Logan sets Charles down as he pretty much dies, sadly. And X-24 then tries to bring Laura back to the Reavers, but Caliban sets off 2 grenades, decides he's done working for them. After seeing the whole results, after seeing Professor X die, he decides he's had it with them, and pretty much sets off the grenades and goes, beware of the light, and kills himself in one Reaver, but Pierce manages to just escape the van before that happens. Sadly, though, Logan fights X-24, gets overpowered, but then Will rams to the dad rams into X-24 with his van, then shoots him repeatedly, and even blames Logan for his family's death and tries to turn on him, but the gun's out of bullets, and Will just collapses dead. So Logan then leaves. He takes Laura and Charles's body, and they have to leave. It's everything. Every single scene is almost emotional, moving in every way, and it's unique as far as from any other X-Men film. The extras, writer Stephen Merchant gives it also a very memorable performance as Caliban, the pale albino, that brings some of the lighter stuff to Logan's more bleak outlook. He's doing what he usually does with some makeup on. It's nice to see. It was nice to surprisingly see him play a character in a major blockbuster. You'll know, back in 2003 when X-Men 2 came out, audiences were happy to see Wolverine doing violent fight scenes. They thought they were going to witness an unleashed Wolverine, and then of course we kept getting a bunch of studio interfered appearances here. Here, he's finally enabled to truly tear people to pieces in this version, and is really capable of doing that and doing so. So after the whole family scene and after the family's been killed, Rice and his crew arrive. They take her to the crime scene. They revive X-24, and then back to Logan. They bury Charles in the woods, and Laura's standing by his side. And right here, like, I don't get how some audiences thought this was funny because it's not supposed to be. To me, this was actually depressing because, like, how this goes is when Laura tries to hold Logan's hand, he just walks away from her. It kind of hints that he kind of partially blames her for Professor X's death and was probably thinking of leaving her there, but then he goes over to the truck and he's smashing in fury, and this is what people thought was funny when it's really not supposed to be. Like, this was sad. Like, Logan's lost everything. Logan lost Professor X. He's lost all his friends now. He's all alone. He lost Caliban. Now he's just smashing his whole truck, and he's now pretty much has no purpose left. And then he passes out, and then he's at a clinic, and the doctor knows he's a mutant, wants to help him, knowing very well that what's inside him is killing him. But Logan, knowing what happened to that family, he doesn't want his help because, like, he doesn't want the Reavers to come kill him. Like, it's clear, it's clear he's trying to care. Like, it's clear he cares about that doctor's safety and knows that doctor's a nice guy and doesn't want anything happening to him. So he takes Laura out of there before, like, any Reavers can find out where they are. So they go to a new truck that Laura stole. Then Logan thanks Laura for her help. And then you do get a bit of a funny moment when he finds out she finally speaks, and she's yelling at him in Spanish. And in Spanish, like, she mentions her friends are right at Transigen, and they have to find them so they can all go to Eden. So they make it to Eden, and you find all the children from the lab are hiding. Their leader is one kid named Richter, named Jason Gannell. They're giving Logan and Laura shelter so Logan can rest up from his injuries. And, like, you get another bit of a funny moment right here where the kids do prank Logan and trim his beard while he sleeps. Like when he wakes up, like, their kids are laughing. He sees his beard been trimmed. He's like, no, that's not funny. It's not funny right there. Like, yeah, I mean, there's not as much comedy here, but there's just a light bit just to prevent the movie from being boring right there. They just didn't want the film to be boring. Yeah, like, you gotta have some kind of comedy, or otherwise your movie's just gonna be boring. Really. So you have, like, just have it during the right times is all. This movie proves, like, you can do comedy in a superhero movie. You just need to do it at the right times when there's no fight scenes. Just do it at the more quiet bits. Right? Just give some light moments here. Yeah. And then Richter gives Logan a serum that was used on them, and it can help Logan re-energize. So when it comes to the villain, now more on the villains, I haven't mentioned much of them yet except for Pierce and Dr. Rice. Like, they're not the strongest villains. Like, they're not super powered monsters or anything, but they didn't have that. Like, they're more grounded, realistic villains that pretty much are accurate to, like, child kidnappers and child traffickers with how they treat these mutant kids, like, in a way. They act like to further the plot, push their main characters further in a story. That's all they really need to do. Like, yeah. They're great when they're on screen, and their villain presence is felt. Like, yeah, and they're very despicable. Like, you want these villains to die when you find out what they do for a living. These guys basically torture children, pretty much torture children. They even kill them or experiment on them. Like, these guys are freaking monsters. Like, and after especially X-24 kills Charles, and then that family ends up getting killed as a result, you already want these guys to get their comeuppance as soon as that happens. Like, in, like, Wolverine, the comics was always known for his power, brutality, rebellious attitude. Hugh Jackman carried the role brilliantly for the whole 17 years around the time this came out, in a way that was difficult to imagine any other actor filling his shoes. Like, yeah, like, it was hard to really figure out, like, who was going to reprise him, but then Deadpool Wolverine's coming out, so he's coming back with the role for that. But around this time, like, this showed good things always have to end. And a character has to find the good send-off to sign off on. With the perfectly released film, like with the newest X-Men films around the time this came out, like Apocalypse, they were revamped from different timelines, new characters. They knew they had to let old characters go. Like around the time, like, his age and recent health issues, like, felt like he wouldn't be able to give the best for the coming years. Like, what better way to go out would be to team up with James Mangold to give the best send-off with the intense emotional Logan. But once again, guys, yes, I know he's coming back for the Deadpool Wolverine movie. I already know that. Like, there's only, like, one... Yeah. Yeah, they had to rip off all the excess CGI, the capes and cowls, and the essence of what makes the movies great, and Logan really did that. and does it again lots of times. And right here, guys, now we get to the finale, where after Rick gave Logan the serum, and while they're staying in Eden. Right there. And it's one of the biggest tearjerkers in modern cinema. Like, right here after that, Laura persuades Logan to take them to Eden, but Logan refuses. Pretty much like, no, Charles never asked for this, Calvin never asked for this, and yeah, like he just pretty much walks off. So they're about to the children are now trying to leave now. But sadly though, just as the children are finally about to leave and get to Eden and get to the border for Canada, like the Reavers sadly track Logan and the children's location, and Pierce and his goons are now chasing the children, they're rounding up the children. Then Logan takes all his serum, though. And of course, we get this epic moment here. We get to see the Berserker Logan in one of his last scenes ever. Raging, screaming loud. You even, like, during the time when Laura's fighting off some of the Reavers, she hears Logan scream mad, and right there is an epic smiling moment. Logan's running in the woods, he's slicing through the Reavers, he's yelling at Berserker rage yell. Like, this is definitely the Wolverine we have long been waiting for, and the wait has paid off. We're in this very moment. It's one scene, but it really works well here. Right there. He has that serum now, he's finally has the energy again, he's really back in action. So yeah. And then some of the children are also using their powers against the Reavers, but the children are outnumbered. Like, one girl freezes a Reaver's arm, it breaks off even, like, shit. And one even, like, turns, like, pines into needles, blasts them through Reaver, and he blows up the flesh. Like, shit. Yeah, but sadly, though, the children are outnumbered. Logan and Laura are the only ones left untouched, though. The only ones not captured, and so they slaughter the Reavers, and then, yeah, but Richter and the other kids are held at gunpoint, and then Rice steps out and introduces himself to Logan. And it reminds him when he killed Rice's father, when he performed the experiment that turned Logan into Wolverine. And then, like, while Rice is kind of talking, I will admit, Rice's death was a little anticlimactic, where Logan just kind of shoots him dead during his speech. Right there, and like, yeah, that was a little anticlimactic. Come on. You didn't need to make it that anticlimactic. You could have made it better. But after Bryce's anticlimactic death, he goes after Pierce. Pierce then releases the revived X-24 onto Logan. So, like, Logan, it's so, yeah, but yeah. Pierce then even shoots a harpoon into Logan's leg during the fight, and he's clearly trying to drive away and probably kill Logan with this harpoon. Yeah, like, drag Logan and probably kill him with this harpoon until he finally dies from this harpoon stab. Like, just as he's attempting to drive away with it. Drive away with Logan impaled on there, and then, or likely just use as bait for X-24. The children manage to stop that from happening, and they use all their powers to kill Pierce, and like, yeah, like, Pierce gets such a brutal death, like, he's buried under grass, frozen under grass, and like, even electrocuted under there, fried under grass, like, holy, yeah, crap, one of the very claustrophobic death, but it's honestly me dying. This was very fucking well deserved. At least it's nice to see these children finally get their revenge on this guy. And I just love how he pathetically pleads please to the children. Yeah, sure. There's probably plenty of children probably tried to plead that same thing to you when you were killing them, or probably electrocuting them or experimenting on them. They were probably saying the same thing to you, and you clearly didn't give a fuck. So why should these children give a fuck about you? Yeah, you deserve every minute of this, dude. But yeah, so unfortunately, though, the Sermon Logan body has worn off when he's fighting X-24, and the two are clawing at each other. Then X-24, yeah. So, but Rick like lifts up the truck and crushes X-24 under it for the time being. But Logan knows he's gonna escape soon, and yeah, he lifts up the truck and he's begging the children to run now. And so X-24 claws at Logan, and then he impales Logan on a tree branch. Then Laura takes that bullet Logan gave her, and she blows X-24's head off, and then he's finally dead. So then she sees Logan's impaled and runs to Logan to come down from the tree. And Logan then looks into Laura's eyes and just like take her friend, like telling her to take her friends and to go to the border, knowing that more Reavers will come for them. And then of course you get that very tear-jerking performance from Hugh Jackman where he finally smiles on the brink of death. He's like, so this is what it feels like. And then Wolverine is dead. And then Laura just tearfully calls him daddy, and then he's gone. Like, talk about huge tearjerker at best. Just about whenever Laura says daddy, that breaks just about every Wolverine fan. Like, just about everyone always starts to burst in tears whenever they watch this part. So after Wolverine has passed on peacefully, he finally smiles for the first time in a while, and he's finally at peace now, and he can finally be with Professor X again, and he can finally be with the other mutants that passed on, his mutant buddies again in the afterlife. So the children bury Logan, and Laurie says that same speech I said in the opening, and the speech she saw on that TV when they were staying in the hotel. And then they go to get to the border, because more Reavers are going to come soon, so they got to move fast. They're not going to have much time to grieve him right now. They'll probably do it when they get to the border, but they got to move now before, like, another set of Reavers come down, because, like, that was just a big bunch. There's probably a whole bunch of other Reavers that exist, especially, like, especially when these Reavers find out that two of their, like, leaders were killed. So more will become, there'll probably be a bigger army coming, so they gotta leave. But before Laura leaves, like, she takes the cross on Logan's grave, and it turns into sideways that looks like an X right there, and it symbolizes Logan is the last of the X-Men. Right there, and it's a very poetic way to end the movie, because that is the end of Logan right there. It does not have a post-credit scene, because it does not need one. It beautifully wraps up everything here. Laura's not going to live the life she was made for. The mutant children have been saved. They're going to go to the border. They're going to live their lives in peace. There's going to be a new generation of X-Men with their powers. They're going to carry on the legacy Charles left behind back in his area. Like, and when Logan died, guys, this was back when kill-offs were earned. They were not milked to death disrespectfully like they are now. It's not like how every franchise wants to send off like Logan, but some of these franchises don't know why Logan's worked so well, because Logan was always a tragic character. He hardly gets a happy ending in his comics, and now he's feeling happiness as he dies with X-23 tearfully at his side, even calling him daddy. Yeah, and that's the bit that just about kills everybody's hearts whenever they watch the movie. There's some kill-offs that work, some that definitely do not. The ones that did work were Neo and Trinity. Caesar, I was fine with. Yondu worked. James Bond worked. Tony Stark worked. John Wick worked, for me anyways. Those ones work. The ones that do not work are Cornelius and Zyra, Ripley, Newt, Hicks, and Bishop, Dante and Becky, Barbossa, Merlin, Captain Kirk, Burt Gummel, Luke from Universal Soldier, all the OG trio from the original Star Wars trilogy, the Transformers in the 80s movie, Black Widow, Gamora, Loki, Heimdall, Dewey Hicks, Key Batman, Gwen Stacy, T'Challa, Jane Foster, Wanda Maximoff, Maria Hill, David Dunn, John Connor. Yeah, those kill-offs were fucking stupid. Those definitely did not need to happen. Those ones, especially Dante's the most. And the ending was definitely something to remember for a while, but sadly though, in July 2024, he's going to come back for the role. So the impact's just going to kind of wear off then. Yeah, they're not going to pack Logan, but still. But now, do I have bad qualities? Well, yeah. The emotional impact's not going to last. I've already mentioned that. But to me, this is the end of Wolverine. And to me, like, the true Wolverine is dead. I'm tired of the multiverse crap, alright? I'm tired out. Really am. As much as I did enjoy No Way Home, I'm also kind of a little pissed off it was successful because it started that stupid trend, basically. And after this movie succeeded with the kill-off cliche, like, every franchise just wanted to copy it and not know why it works. Like, the villains, like, they're just, I guess they're not that memorable. Yeah, they're, like, despicable, but not too memorable. Since, yeah, the ending's great. There's a bit of it that felt a little bit abrupt because I did want to see the kids reach the border. I know when Wolverine dies, the movie ends, but still. And also, like, there was maybe some wasted potential that could have worked for Sabretooth to be in the story even, like have him play a bit of a redemption arc as the movie progresses, have him go hunt down our leads, but as the movie progresses, he has a redemption arc, and he joins in the fight against the Reavers right there. That would have worked. But yeah, Logan is a terrific send-off to the X-Men movies, and it's a masterpiece of modern cinema. So in the end, totally watch and buy Logan for your collection, no doubt. And if you want to have a good send-off to the Fox X-Men universe and pretend Dark Phoenix does not exist, because this is a better movie to have the send-off for this version of the X-Men. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review of Logan. If we're in hunger rank Logan, here's how I'm going to rate this movie. So overall, if you are ready to see what was meant to be Jackson's send-off as a character in a more grounded in reality X-Men film, then totally watch and buy this movie for your X-Men collection, but be warned that it's going to get depressing in many bits, so be warned of that. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rank Logan, I'm going to give Logan a perfect 10 out of 10. There we go, guys. Wow. And with that, the X-Men series is all done. And you're all wondering, but what about New Mutants? Guys, I already reviewed New Mutants when I started YouTube. I'll put that review in the playlist for this. But X-Men is all done. We did the X-Men movies. So wow, man, ever since we started YouTube, we did the Fantastic Four movies, we did the Ghost Rider movies, we did, oh boy, we did the DCU, we did the MCU, both last year. I forget what else I'm missing, but, oh man. Now we reviewed the X-Men films, so I guess you could say I've covered, oh yeah, we reviewed the Spider-Man films last year as well. So I guess, now, at some point, not right this minute, but I guess we all know there's 3 of these nostalgic Marvel films left. I guess that leaves just these 3 puppies left. Oh wait, no, Daredevil. 4. Never mind, but for franchises, Punisher is the only one I haven't touched yet. For franchises. But Punisher will happen, not right now though. I just got through this saga. Let's take a bit of a breather from superhero sagas because I still need to do the Bad Boys movies now. Because Bad Boys Ride or Die is coming out. So I might as well review the Bad Boys 1 and 2. I already reviewed Bad Boys for Life when I started YouTube. So now it's time to review Bad Boys 1 and 2. And then do Bad Boys Ride or Die. So I could do a Bad Boys ranking. But until then, guys, that'll be it for this review. Thank y'all for watching. If you like this one to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.